Hey, folks, I want to introduce you to Dustin Smith, a great gifted storyteller. He is a husband, a father, a world class auctioneer. He's been a firefighter, he's been an EMT, and he has a company now, Ozark Natural Steak. We have a great conversation. It went on for almost 2 hours. It could have gone on a lot longer. Anyway, please stay tuned and enjoy this conversation. We're cleared for takeoff. I'm here with Dustin Smith. Sir, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, I met you because your kids are on the rodeo circuit with my grandbabies, and Cody's your farrier. And as I've got to know you, you constantly crack me up, and you're like a natural born storyteller. And so I thought, man, this would be a great guy to sit down with. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I don't know that I'm really that funny of a guy. I think I do a lot of stupid things.
Those can be funny.
I grew up just right on the edge of Northwest Arkansas, and graduated high school in Springdale, Arkansas, and we grew up rodeoing as kids too in the same organization that how I met you and your grandkids. And I got a beautiful wife, Denise, and I have two children, a little boy, Sawyer, and a little girl, Kinley.
I get to see a lot of kids, and your kids are like incredibly well behaved. And just from what I get to know about you, I don't imagine you were that well behaved as a child as Sawyer is.
Probably not, but my mom, she would crack on you. For sure. we might have always behaved maybe when she wasn't looking, but for sure we grew up to and taught how to respect people.
Okay, and that's kind of a big thing nowadays. So, do you have to spank your kids very often, or do you believe in spankings, or are you against it, or?
Man, I know I got some whippings when I grew up, but we actually haven't had to do that with our kids. I think they just got more of their mother than me in them.
So you were able to just raise these beautiful, smart, well-behaved children without spankings, huh?
So far.
Well, that's incredible.
They're going to get too big to spank them for too long.
Yeah, well, there is that. Well, I've just been so impressed with your family, and I've been so impressed with how your kids interact with adults and how they interact with other kids. So I did want to ask if you had any secret formulas for that.
No, I don't think so. I think their mom just has good genetics.
Okay. Well, and I often say that one of the most important things you can do is marry well.
Yeah.
So if you can marry above your station like I did, and like Cody did.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I did as well. But yeah, we for sure believe in you're not going to get anywhere in life unless you can learn to respect people, and that's what makes people like you as well, and you can sure get a lot farther.
And so what do you do for a living?
So I'm in the cattle business. If you can think of it in the cattle business, we do it or all the way down to even selling a retail steak, which the last year and a half we launched a company called Ozark Natural Steak Company, a higher end type beef. But so
do you own it from calf born on your place to steak on the plate?
We do.
Oh, wow.
Yep, we do. So we have acquired those genetics that we'll probably talk about later, I'm sure. And then,
well, it doesn't have to be later. Let's talk about it now.
So it's American Wagyu. So it's all half Wagyu, half Angus. We did start off by purchasing some of those animals.
And are these tenderness gene tested?
So they're all DNA tested.
Okay.
For sure. And we do that. And we know that what they are, but we go ahead and because we raise them but we go ahead and do DNA test them that way.
And so do you have a tenderness score? Because Cameron and Jacqueline have their meat business, and they were wanting all of their steaks and stuff like I want to say a 7. Is that the score you're trying to? You know about that?
Like on a marbling score, we don't do that. All of our stuff will be prime. grade. So if we, man, it's not really happened, but pretty much everything. I physically see all the marbling on every single carcass because I want to make sure that we don't ever send anything out. And one of our things is we want to deliver more than you expect. So we don't ever let anything go out that we didn't think would be to our standard.
Okay. And so you have a herd, you have a ranch, you have a herd, your calf is born. How do you finish that steer, or how do you get it ready to butcher? What's your
So with the Wagyu, it takes a little bit longer than your conventional, just Angus and your conventional beef. So these calves will be on the cow side for roughly about 6 months, and then we'll wean them, and then we'll let them graze and just age, and we feed them a little bit of a kind of a grower grain ration along. And then when usually they get to about a true year old, somewhere in there, 16 months, some of them, we'll start bumping it up, and then we'll put them on a finishing ration, and they'll be on that finishing ration for close to 300 days.
Okay, so these things are 2.5 before they're.
Yeah, it takes so a lot of the Wagyu primarily we have both. We have two different kinds of breeds of Wagyu. So Wagyu is actually not a breed. Like people think, and like I used to think.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Well. No, so that's just the Japanese term for cattle.
Oh.
So there's roughly about, give or take. I mean, there's.
So if I talk to a Japanese man, I own a herd of Wagyu.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. You own Wagyu if you got cattle if in Japan.
Okay.
But there's about 7, different breeds of Wagyu. And so the two primary are Tajima and Akaushi are the two that, and mostly what we handle is the Akaushi.
Okay.
And which is a red Wagyu. So it kind of has a few different names, but Akaushi is really the most well-known name by it is.
And have you been to Japan and had one of their steaks?
I have not been to Japan.
Okay.
I've not been to Japan, but the Akaushi is known as the Emperor's breed. So years ago, it was reserved only for the Emperor and their families.
Kelly and I worked there for a week, and the Japanese Racing Association, they are super, super wealthy. I mean, they love to bet so much, and they own 250 acres in the middle of Tokyo. That's got to be worth billions, really. And anyway, they took us out for supper one night, and it was very formal, very. Mm-hmm. They took us out every night, but one night it was like special, and they brought us this, and it was a square cut. I mean, it was. It wasn't steak shaped.
Right.
But it was unbelievable. Like you didn't want to finish it. It was so good.
Yeah.
And being raised on American beef, I was like, well, I don't really want to tell everybody, but this is something.
Yeah. There's a for sure there's a for sure difference. That's the only reason we ever got into this, because I've been in the cattle business for about 18 years. From we feed a lot of cattle and feedlots, out in western Kansas, and I sell hanging carcasses to a company out there. So we'll have a knowledge of the beef industry and how it works, and we know that a local small beef business is something that a lot of people try, and it's really hard.
And it's a lot of work.
The fail rate's high on it, and it's a very hard thing. I'm too stubborn to not try it, but I would never try it. Like, this is what made the difference for us was the Wagyu when it was gifted to me from some customers, and that's what started me on the whole thing. And Ozark Natural Steak was never it was something that.
So this wasn't a business plan idea 5 years ago.
No, this was a plan that we just want some for ourselves to feed and harvest and just for us and maybe some family. So, but there's definitely a difference, and I saw that, and it just kind of got the beef business, the retail side of the beef business, kind of found us more, because I know enough about it that it would never be a hill I would try to climb, and until this, and it got into this, and like I said, I'm too stubborn. and like a good challenge. So we took it on, and that's how we kind of got into that. I was gifted some steaks, and I thought, man, that was awful nice of them, but like, gosh, we got like we're in the beef business. We just don't sell it, so we know how to create good beef. And so we always had a freezer full of good beef. And so I knew there was something different about this right when and I didn't even know what it was. And I'm like, man, this is really good. How could it be that much better?
Right.
And so I went and looked at the box and looked at it, and it was like, well, American Wagyu. What's American Wagyu? So I started looking it up, and it's this Wagyu crossed with Angus, because just purebred Wagyu is so rich. And as Americans, we want to eat the whole thing.
Right.
And Wagyu, like Japanese A5 Wagyu, is sold by the ounce. It's like fudge. The first bite's the best thing you ever had. By the time you get to the third bite, you're like, let's push that aside for a minute, So it just really elevates Angus and it's a naturally buttery, sweeter type, melt in your mouth type fat. And normally the way that I've done things all of my life is probably why I've failed a lot, but also probably had some successes is usually I come up with an idea and I map it out a little bit, but I'm the kind of person that I have to go do it and then see if it works versus think about if it'll work or not.
So you could be halfway to the end and then get a failure at that point. And
yeah. So the next thing I knew is I found some of them. We were feeding them to butcher for ourselves, and this thought come to my mind. And the next thing I know, I was buying 2 high-powered bulls, and just kind of jumped at it and went at it. And I said, if it doesn't work, we'll know. Versus trying to sit here and figure out if it would work or not. Let's just try it and see.
All right. And so, and you were making your living before that as a cattle buyer?
That's right.
Yep. And what's that job like? I don't, I talk to cattle buyers, and but it's kind of I have a vague notion of it. What is that job truly like?
So it's very, very hard if you don't have a shoe-in or you don't have anybody. I did not grow up in the cattle business. My mom's a nurse. My dad had a excavation. He was a semi-mechanic, and I can remember. And this is kind of the reason what I kind of had the somewhat of the same. I learned that work ethic from him, is what we'll probably get into in a minute. But he worked as a semi-mechanic, and then he had a small engine shop behind his house and cut firewood to get my mom through nursing school. And so we always grew up with clothes and food, but we didn't grow up rich, and we were poor and didn't know it.
And the kids had to work too.
And yeah, and so when he took me to the bank when I was 14 years old and helped sign a loan, and I got a pickup when I was 14 to have it fixed up ready by the time I was 16, and I made payments on it, and worked for him through the summer. But hit rewind a little bit, I can remember he had an old Ford 8N tractor and a box blade, and he was filling in a house slab with creek gravel at night because that old 8N had headlights on it, and we were in the vehicle with my mom shining headlights across that thing because he had to work and drive a wrecker some on the weekend for that trucking company, and he had to be a mechanic during the day, and so I was fortunate enough to grow up and see that kind of thing, and so as time went on, and I didn't grow up in the cattle business, and primarily most of the time I grew up on 10 acres, and the only cattle we had was some roping calves and roping steers, and of course half the calves that we had would come off a dairy or something like that, and we had a hog wire arena, and the first roping chute we had was a little wooden gate, and when we would nod our head, I don't think we had a roping box, but and Dad would open up the front of the alleyway, and out would go the calf, and so I didn't know anything about cattle, but I always had an interest in auctions and livestock, and I know that what my dad had the excavating business. This is how much we knew about cattle. He had a diesel tank on the back of one of his trucks for his equipment, off-road diesel, so it's red. We had some Holstein roping calves, and the flies were bad on them.
Oh.
And somebody said, hey, you can put a little diesel. People use kind of diesel. I think they use it on. Then we found out maybe that they use it on fly rubs for cattle sometimes, and
the
stuff.
burlap wrap.
No, we put them in the alleyway, pulled the truck down there. Dad say, flip on that pump. And he soaked them in diesel with the nozzle on there, though, to find out that what we ended up having a few days later was a bunch of Holsteins with no hair, and they were pink.
How was the flies?
And there was not a fly on them. Maybe even not on our place for a while. Thank goodness we didn't do it to the horses. But it took all their hair off, and they were pink. And it was like on you've ever seen Austin Powers, Mr. Evil's cat that didn't have any hair, that's what they look like. That's what we knew about cattle. So that's the start I got in the cattle, right? But I got down to kind of trading some chickens and goats and stuff like that.
Well, with the cost of diesel now, you'd be cheaper with fly spray.
Yeah. You'd be diluting that down quite a bit, which needed to be done anyway. And anyway, going through time, I got to where I decided I wanted to be a livestock auctioneer, and there was a guy that had took me behind a microphone on a day when this sale was closed down, and from that day I'm like, man, I want to be a auctioneer. Maybe I'd be an auctioneer. And so, as time went on, and I rodeoed and I roped, and I got I was going to go to college, and I had a few colleges we were looking at there, and I had chosen to go to Fort Scott, Kansas. There on a rodeo scholarship, and then before that time came, I just had like, what am I going to college for? I don't even know. And I'm like, I want to go rope and rodeo differently, and stuff. And so I changed my mind, and my mom, she's a very organized person, which is where I lack a lot sometimes.
Amen.
And she knows what she's going to do next, and she's got it all figured out most of the time, right? And so what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. So I went to auctioneer school. So I graduated high school, and I went to auctioneer school.
And how long was that school?
It was like 9 days.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
And it was up by St. Louis, the Missouri Auction School, and so I went up there, had a great time. Met a lot of neat people, and I came back home, and what did I do? I went to rodeoing.
So was this before or after the auctioneer song? There was a boy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that song's way older than maybe even I am.
Okay.
I think though, the best I remember, there was an instructor at that auctioneer school that actually taught Leroy Van Dyke, the guy that sang the song, a little bit through that. To do that song actually. And so I came back from that, and I just went to rodeoing and roping. And
were you auctioning as well yet?
No, I came back with great intentions, but I just went to roping.
Oh, okay, so you had it. You had the skill, but you just weren't using it.
Yeah. I developed a chant long before I ever went, because I'm like, I really liked it. But I went up there. It showed you a little bit more about. For me, I kind of had the chant. Now, I had improved my chant, and I improved it over the years too, but on my own. But it was more about how to be an auctioneer, laws of the auction, how to run an auction. I mean, there was a lot of good information and things and stuff in that. And I come back all geared up to be an auctioneer, and I met a man there that was a legendary auctioneer in the purebred business, which his name was Stanley Stout, and he's no longer living now, but an icon in the auctioneer industry. And I remember one of the dumbest things, probably, I've done a lot of dumb things, but he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, son, at the end of the school, he said, I want you to go home and go find some sale barns and things and stuff. And he said, I want you to go get some experience auctioneering. And here's my number, and you call me in 2 years. I want you to call me back. And he said that then we would go, and he would take me to some purebred sales and stuff, which is how a lot of the purebred auctioneers get started, by following around some of those guys.
Get a shoe in. Yeah.
And so, well, I would come back, and man, I was going to do it and everything, and roping got in the way. And I never done it. I never called him. I never, I just roped. And then cattle auctioneering is a very hard job to get, because for one, you can do it even at an old age too, right? And so seems like the turnover and it's not very high, and it's hard. I drove around all over the country just asking sell barns, hey, have you got 3 old cows I can sell at the end?
Really?
Right? And some of them were good about it. Some of them weren't, some of them weren't interested at all in helping you.
Could you make any money selling the 3 old cows? Like, would they?
So this episode gives me a great opportunity to advertise a couple of great companies. First, Tim Regal in Lamar, Missouri, right here in the United States of America. He has this really cool company called Ozark Fire Pits, and he sells these fire pits he makes in his shop right here in Lamar. Coming up with the kind of weather where you can really enjoy a nice fire pit. And Ozark Natural Steak that Dustin Smith and his wife Denise have. That's a great time to be using a fire pit to cook a great steak. So anyway, check out Ozark Fire Pits and Ozark Natural Steak right here in Missouri. You won't be sorry you did.
Oh no, this was just trying to
Just try to get your
seat and mic time. Like I want to get behind the mic and sell a real cow with like real buyers,
Okay. All right. And so you were just volunteering just to get a little.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Because just go around and try it, because that's the only way you can do it. You can practice in the shower or driving down the home, and you can get pretty good at that. But it all changes when you get some pressure put on you, and you have buyers that are changing the bid instead of you change. When they bid. So,
come on in. Hey, we can. We'll let it out. So, take it. No problem. This is. We are in the Lamar hangar, and this really is Kevin's office. So he's the local crop sprayer, and
okay.
So I get to use this but it's also everybody else gets to use it too. So that's why we get company. So you didn't take the offer from the Stanley Stout, and you were going around trying to find places to call. And how did you finally get your foot in the door?
Well, so I just, like I said, roping got in the way. It became the most important thing throughout that time.
And you were making good money doing it, I'm sure.
And well, I thought I was. Actually, for a while I was, but I lived at home, and I worked for my dad, and I could take off when I wanted to, and so I would work, Monday to Thursday, and I'd shoot off and be gone, roping and rodeoing Friday through Sunday. And yeah, it's sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad, but it's just like anything else I've learned throughout marketing and the cattle business or anything. The more you won, the more you'd leverage. The more you leverage, the bigger the loss. and so there's a lot of good life lessons with this, because I remember this. I remember doing really well one year, and so I wasn't working that much. I would stay out roping at night. I'd late practicing, and just kind of being a team roper, slumming around being a team roper and going to ropings. And I rodeoed there for a while and realized, hey, this roping thing, just the team ropings, made a lot more sense. And so I started just going to a lot of USDRC ropings, and I remember having one year that was pretty good, and my mom, like I said, was a very organized person, believed that you should have a future in mind and all this and that. And I can remember one day she was talking to me, and she was a little bit aggravated with, she didn't feel like I was going anywhere in life. And she had told me that, and I didn't, she had told me that, something about me not having a job. And I said, what do you mean I don't have a job?
You're still working for your dad, right?
And, well, not really.
Okay.
not really that much. And she's like, well, you don't even have a job. And I said, what do you mean? I do have a job. She's like, well, what's that? I said, I'm a team roper. And she said, okay. And then she slid this piece of paper across the counter. She goes, well, I guess since you have a job and you're so financially stable, I guess then you can handle paying this. And it was a tax form from the USDRC. And that price tax was a lot.
Oh, really? So way more than you had been winning, or way more than you had left after paying for everything
Well, I
else.
mean, like I didn't have that kind of money sitting around,
Right.
and I was like, oh, I didn't even know what that was. Like, what is this? Well, yeah, you got to pay taxes on a lot of that, and the price tax was, I don't know, 35% or
geez.
whatever it was, like. And so I remember that the taxes, was, and then this is probably back in 2004 or whatever. But like, I mean, it was.
So you were about 20 years old?
Yeah,
Okay.
roughly, 19, and it was, like $18,000 or something in taxes.
So you won
is
some
what
good
I
money
owed.
that year.
That's what I owed.
Yeah, I know, but if you have
Yeah.
$18,000 in tax, you had to.
I mean, I went and was hitting some good licks, and there's so much I learned from this too, because like sometimes like you think like you think you're good, and part of it is skill, but with roping, the more you win, the more they'll end up adjusting your classification, and the more they adjust your classification, one day it gets harder to win, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so anyway, we had a little spat there, and I was like, well, that won't be no problem. I'll just go win it, right? And anyway, so lo and behold, as time would go on, you don't just the more you win, the more you leverage, and the more you leverage, the bigger the loss is when you have one. And it was like there was some time going on, like where like it wasn't working. It just wasn't working anymore.
And you were probably in a position where you had to win, which makes it harder too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and then when you don't win, the fix for that is go enter more.
Right. I was a gambler.
So maybe you can hit, right?
You really are a gambler, actually.
And yeah, I mean, that's all it is. And I imagine people at the casino are the same way. I don't know. But so then what happened is I had a younger horse, that I had to try to haul and stuff. And like there would just be all these things, and it's like nothing was working anymore. Right. And so I even remember one time being broke, and I was at a 4th of July rodeo, and this rodeo was pretty important because for one, there was a lot of added money, and and like we're trying to make a rodeo finals, and so like, and there was a lot of people there. It was a smaller town, and it was in Mount Magazine, Arkansas, and it was an ACRA, IPRA rodeo. And I decided I'm going to ride my young horse. I've been working really good. And he always liked to step to the right coming out of the hill box. And I never could get him out of it. And so anyway, I rode in the box down there in the show. We were in the show, 4th of July. I don't know how many people there, but it was a bunch for a small town, right? Nothing to do, and there was a little cutout in the side of the hill box. And I remember like this was like there were some things I was counting on this one, and me and this guy that roping together, we were winning a lot together and had each other figured out. And the gate cracked, the steer come out. He roped the steer to win the rodeo. My horse took that weird little step to the right and ran out of that little cutout in the side of the hill box.
So you're outside the arena now?
And I'm running in between the bleachers and the fence. And the steer gets turned, and my horse still wants to make the corner, but there's a fence there. There's people walking, and there's like kids. It's a wonder I didn't run over somebody.
No kidding.
And my horse is running down in between, right in front of the bleachers. They got a front row seat to my horse. And once I realized what happened, there was one of those little walkways where you could go out of the bleachers, where people walk in between, the sections of bleachers. The only thing I could do is turn my horse to the right, and I rode right out between the bleachers, and I rode back to the trailer. I unsaddled him, and I changed my shirt, took my cowboy hat off, everything else. Came back up there like it never was me. It happened so fast. And I'll never forget getting to see the video on that. I can't remember who had it. But the guy heading for me roped the steer and literally roped him to win the rodeo, turned the steer off, looked at the fence, turned back and looked at me because I hadn't roped him yet, and then started looking around. I was already at the trailer probably by the time So,
Oh my gosh.
it,
Was he mad at you?
no, probably frustrated. I probably would have been too. It just, what could you do about it? I don't know. But in the time, and I'm thinking like, man, just like nothing's working anymore. So I just go back to working for my dad, and we were mostly in residential excavating. I bought some of my own equipment, and I was doing that, and then to get enough money, right, and kind of built a little business off of him, and because I had lost everything plus what I had, roping, and it was going really good. I thought, hey, this is just what I'm going to do. I know this. This is what I'm going to do in life. I know this. And 2008 came, and the housing market crashed. Even Northwest. I mean, we were in the most, the big golf course type subdivisions, and that even stopped. Like it was nothing. And so, anyway, well, there I was young, and I had a dump truck, and I had a compact tractor, and I mean, I had payments to make, and the only thing I could do is go to work for $10 an hour on a ranch, just to. So when I done that, I started like, like, hey, I need to, like, I don't know, maybe I should try to go back on the roping, and.
Okay, so you quit roping for a while.
And
then.
I didn't quit, but I got a little bit of sense.
What number did you get to?
And so I was at 7.
7,
Yep.
okay.
And so I went to a roping and that I'd already qualified for a finals in Tunica, Mississippi, and we went down there, and my partner, we slept on cots in the back of this trailer.
Early living quarters.
And, yeah. And this was before I got a living quarters or anything. We slept on this cot, and we were in Tunica, Mississippi, and the mosquitoes are big down there. And this was a high dollar entry fee. I went down there with my parents gave me $100. My entry fees were already paid, but my parents were nice, and they gave me $100, and my mom gave me some lunch meat, and that's what I went down there with, and just enough for fuel. And the first day didn't go well down there. We had to rope the next day, and we wake up that next morning, and my partner's eye is swollen shut from a mosquito. He got bit overnight, sleeping outside on the cot. So his eye's swollen. He can't see out of one eye. And
Oh, geez.
so anyway, lo and behold, by the time this thing was over that day, we'd won like $4,500.
Nice.
So I went to Sam's Town Casino, because what I was looking for after a week long of this was a hot meal, not just a cold sandwich. And I had cashed some of that check when I got it. I'd signed off and cashed part of it. And so I went there, and I thought, man, I'm going to get a hot shower at this hotel here, and I'm going to get something hot. They had a buffet, and I'd never been to like one of those big casino buffets everybody talks about. So I go up there to the cash register, and this lady behind it, I said, hey, I want a buffet. And so she rings it up, ching, ching, ching. And she said, that'll be $24.99. And I was like, oh, no, ma'am, I just want one. It's just me. And she said, and that'll be $24.99. So I gave her the $25, and I went in there and I ate. And I did not go get a room and get a shower, because I was like, oh, that's going to cost too much, But I came back from that, and I stopped and I said, like, I'm not going to take this money and just go enter on it. And so
you didn't gamble at the casino then at all?
No,
No, you just ate.
No, I never was at a casino. It's just not any fun to me.
And so the $25, did you get your money's worth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, all the way to the chocolate fountain, for sure. But so I come back from that, and I said, man, I'm going to take part of this money, and I'm going to go buy some calves. And so I done that, and that's how I started my cattle business.
And so you're what, 25 by now?
Yeah. Well, no, I was still younger than that. Probably 22, 23.
So you're 41 now?
Let's see, I don't know.
Yeah, we can do the math.
Away.
If we subtract 20 from...
I was born in 1985.
85? All right, so 2008, you should have been 22, 23.
Yeah. And I come back, and I bought some calves with that money. Said, I'm gonna make some money on some cattle. I'm gonna do something smart.
And did you have land or just the 10 acres you grew up on?
No, so I was actually during that time I was dating Denise, and her parents had a place that I was living on that
Oh, okay.
had just a little bit of land there, and so I bought some calves, put them there, and then I turned some out at my parents' house. They had some land there, and that's how I started my cattle business. And then I went to leasing land, and I had not a clue what I was doing, and I actually drive around down the road and find I found some old bent up panels laying in somebody's pasture, and I stopped, knocked on their door, said, "What, you want those panels?" And they said, "Nah, get them out of here." And I loaded these bent up panels back, took them to my parents' place, and took a tractor and started driving over the top of them to straighten them out. And the ranch I was working for at the time, the lady owned it. She was just a real estate investor, and she had this land all around, and so she leased it to me. Some of the places that they didn't have cattle on, so I was fortunate to get that. And so the next thing you know, like I'm in the cattle business, and I'm working there at the ranch. And as I'm going to the sell barn, I start to get to sell some of the old butcher cows at the end. So I start auctioneering a little bit.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah. So now finally I start kind of following this path, that I wanted to do a long time ago. And I think I don't know if it was 2006 or 2008. Actually, they had the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship at Springfield, and I drove up and I watched that, and I said, man, I looked at those guys up there, the 30 best guys in the world, and I'm like, they got it going on, man. They're selling in sale barns at some of the most premier sales, and they're in this World Championship, and they're like, man, they're all so good. And I kind of had thought, like, maybe one day I'll try that, but I started, I started auctioneering, and I
So
started.
did you have a passion for auctioneering? Like,
Man,
were you thinking about it all the time, or were you practicing all the time?
No, it was just something I wanted to do, but like I just like team roping was what I was ate up with the most, and really, to be honest with you, the auctioneering thing, the catalog was so hard and I team roped, and I liked the team, that I think I just went that way. I'm not really sure. But like I said, I think
So
probably
hard as in finding work, but not so hard to do.
Yeah. No, it's just very, very hard because, you think of these sale barns, they're marketing other people's cattle. That it's a pretty important thing, and it depends on it. And they have auctioneers like, it's not something that you just go in and they just throw somebody in there and try it,
Right.
like you're selling these other people's cattle. And
So, and does the auctioneer, do they have a huge part in getting get them amped up and make them bid?
oh, absolutely.
That's a big part of your job, right?
That's a huge. That's why auctions exist, because why else wouldn't you just
Right.
show up? And so I mean, because everybody gets at the auction, gets to bidding and a rhythmic chant, how you handle the buyers and the crowd, and I mean it all. Yeah, it's a huge thing to provide that kind of atmosphere to helps. Get every extra dollar out of stuff. There's a difference between a good auctioneer and one that's not good on what something will bring at places, So, and that's another thing that, not only just learning the chant, like you have to figure out how to be confident and be able to handle a crowd and be able to take, ass eatings, like, because, like some buyers are hard to deal with. Right. And,
Of course.
and then sometimes as an auctioneer, you might mess up, especially when you're trying to learn. And you don't get to learn auctioneering. You can learn how to do your chant.
But you don't learn how to
but
do
you
that
can't
without
learn how
doing
to
it.
be an auctioneer until like you actually get in a real life scenario.
Right.
And it's probably like that thing. And a lot of times, like, I mean, I'm sure in the military or whatever, I mean, you go do that and you train for combat. That's a lot different than actually now being in combat, right?
Right.
Your nerves are different. And now, like I said, like if you're practicing auctioneering, you in your head get to change the number on your own. You don't get to change the number auctioneering until the bidders are bidding and all this, and you're trying to find them. You're trying to stay on the money that you're going like yeah. I mean, it's something that takes time. And
What's the hardest thing to learn? Is that it?
the hardest thing to learn is probably being able to count in your head where you're at keep your rhythm, and be able to catch an unexpected bids, because when you do that, it changes, right? You have to change your number, and you
Instantly.
don't get to choose when you change your number. The bidders do.
Right.
Right. And making sure they kept, for me, one of the hardest things was when we call selling out, which means we're fixing to sell it. I always learning, like, I never was confident that I had everybody, because when you're young and you get behind a microphone and you miss a bid, which is going to happen, or you might lose track of where you were because you got so much going on at once, and you go back and you sell the cow to that guy, and this buyer thought he was in, and you get a good butt chewing in front of everyone. So then before you sell out, like, I always would scan the crowd and scan, like, and I never was just confident, like, selling out, and some of those guys, man, I got butt chewings from, especially like the old cow buyers. I mean, most of them guys, I mean, yeah, they'll give you a good chewing, and then if they give you a chewing and they say something to the sell barn about, hey, this guy ain't no, then that sell barn owner won't let you back up there to sell anymore.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, he don't have a choice, right? And so it's a very hard gig to get into, for sure. But yeah, so I started selling
And
them.
once you get in, once you're selling at the sale barn, does it pay well?
Yeah, it's a very good paying job, because I mean, you get paid by the day, and it's one of those things where it's like if you're the auctioneer, it's not like, oh, hey, actually he called in sick, have Joe from the back run up here and just start selling. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Because it's not a it's one of those things where not everybody there can do it.
Right, it's skilled labor.
I mean, at best, you might have one other person around that sell barn that might be able to get the job done. But, yeah, you just don't have, not everybody. I mean, a lot of people can sort cattle, and all those positions are important. It's not what I'm saying. But the auctioneer and the clerk are two jobs at a sell barn when cattle's going that are not really that interchangeably with just anybody in there.
Okay.
And those are two of the most, I'm not going to say most important jobs, but right, the auctioneer's got to sell the cattle beyond the money, and the clerks has got to be able to listen to the auctioneer, be able to clerk the price of that calf, also get the weight of that calf, and get it on the right order for that buyer so it doesn't get pinned in the wrong pen. Like, it's a big job. Like,
Right.
maybe the clerk might be the biggest job, right, at the auctioneer. And I've been fortunate to work alongside some of the best that, very seldomly. I mean, and I've worked with some that were inexperienced, and they got to learn too, just like I had to learn. I've worked with some that you have to go back, and you're in the middle of selling the next animal, right? And they're like, well, what did that last one bring? And like, well, you think it'd be easy to remember, but I can't even remember, right? I'm on to the next one and moving on. And so the clerk is, man, because you got to get it right on like, when you sell your cattle, you want to make sure it's clerked right.
Oh, yeah. And if you're buying, you want to make sure the clerk's right.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, the clerk's an important job, and a very important job. But so yeah, it's a tough gig to get.
My dad, he sells all of his stuff online now. And has that affected your business much? Like, he sells through Superior, and absolutely loves it. It used to be him and Mom would get dressed up. They'd go to Dalhart. They'd watch their cows sell. They'd eat at the sale barn. It was a nice day. But now, they do a video. He watches it online. They come and they weigh the trucks at Tooten Carry. They come pick up the cattle, take it back to Tooten Carry and weigh them right away. They're not overnight in a feed yard or overnight in a sale barn or any of that. It's just amazing for him.
Yeah, when the video auctions first come out, the big thing was like, well, these sale barns will be closed in 5 years, because it took off pretty good. But that's not the case, because to sell on video, for one, you got to have 50,000 pounds of them. You got to sell them in load lots. And there's several people that work a job in town in this country and around where, like, they have 40 head of cows at home, and they leave the bull in year round, and they go out there and they get the 5 biggest calves this week.
Right.
And haul them in. Like, they got to have somewhere to market them. And so, and the other thing is a lot of people that are buying cattle at these sale barns, they may market them in load lots, when they grow them up into yearlings and put them on video and stuff. And then a lot of the sale barns have now started adding a video cell to their cell. So there's a time period or certain days where they'll have a video cell at the sale barn. So the sale barn still gets to market those cattle, and they're still auctioned off by an auctioneer. And so it's
So you're selling cattle on video while you're selling in the ring anyway as the auctioneer. A little bit.
not at the same time. But like so sometimes like the sale like at 1:00 they'll stop the auction ring, and then they'll sell 5-10 lots of video cattle or
And
whatever.
are you
they
doing
have for
that?
the
Are you
day.
calling that too?
And I have done it. Mostly what I do now is I sell cow sales and special cow sales. I do sell one cow sale every week now. I just do one now. But I buy, because I order, buy cattle and yearlings, and it's, that kind of thing. But I have before, yes.
And have you done cars or estates or any of that?
So I've not, like, when I started to get experience, because it was so hard to, even with sale barns, like I've never sold a car. Like I always want to go to the car auction and sell, because I think it'd be fun too. But I have sold a lot of charity auctions, and when you're learning to auctioneer, you get a lot of pie auctions. And then like I would go to people, the auctioneers that had estate auctions, and say, hey, like I want to auctioneer, I can do it. I just want to get better at it, and they're more than happy a lot of times to say, when we get to that flatbed trailer over there with all that junk piled on it,
the dollar
it's
the dollar
gonna be your
boxes.
turn. And boy, all right, boy, I can't wait for that. I was excited to get on that hot trailer in the middle of July and sell broken shovels and grouped up a whole bunch of stuff that you can't get a dollar bid on. So you keep piling stuff on top of stuff until you can get $1, right? And then it goes up to $3 and you got it sold. I done a lot of that too, a lot of that kind of thing, and it makes you appreciate it a lot more when you get to sit down in the seat behind a microphone and sell those cattle coming through. But really, I went from that to going on, and I was already buying cattle for myself and running cattle. Just stepped right into some just auctioneering, and then, but it still didn't take off then. So when I was 18 years old, there was a head-on collision on my road and a car wreck, and they landed a helicopter in our front yard, and stuff. It was a really bad wreck. The volunteer fire department was there. I kind of knew one guy that was out there, and I was fixing to go to school or something. He said, when you turn 18, you need to come down and talk to us, and we'll put you on the fire department. I thought, well, that sounds cool. So I did do that when I was 18. So I was on this volunteer fire department, over this time and stuff. And then, so I did volunteer with them, and I was pretty active in that when I was home and things. And so after this construction crash, and after, I worked on that ranch, started buying, but like I wasn't buying enough cattle for myself or doing anything to make any kind of living, And so I would go to the meetings down there that we'd have once a month, and they said, hey, if you want to go to EMT school, we'll pay for your EMT school. We got a grant, and I thought, well, and these other guys were full-time firemen that was on the volunteer department too. Well, they worked a 24 on, 48 off. And I started thinking about that. I'm like, okay, I get a guaranteed paycheck every week. I work one day and I'm off too. So I got time to run some cattle and to rope that's a hell of a deal. So I went to EMT school, and I got really interested in this fire department thing. So again, I choose the hard things. In a fire department, for one, you had to have your I remember you had to have your EMT first before you could even test. So to get on a fire department, you have to test. You got to take a written test. And it's not anything about fire stuff. It's just a general knowledge written test. And then there's a physical agility test. Well, you put in an application, and you show up, take this test, and then you have a civil service interview, which is this people on the civil service committee for the city. You have to interview in front of them. And so I go to test for the fire department. And I really wanted to work at Rogers for whatever reason. I just did. So I go there and I test against 80-something people. You come back and you look on the door later that day, and they're going to hire 10 or 5, and it's the first 10 or 5 on that list gets the job offer, and I'm way down the list, So then I go and I test at other cities, and I test and I test and I test, and like I can't get the job. And again, so I'm still broke through all this time pretty much. And so I go through all that. And so then I go and I start working. I get the EMT and I go start working at an ambulance service. And so I'm doing that. It's a low paying job, but I'm getting to put my EMT to work, and it's a shift job as well. So I'm working 24-hour shifts. And then the fire department in Eureka Springs, I went over and I started working there for a while, and I was still testing at other fire departments.
And that's volunteer still?
No, I was where they were paying me.
Okay,
I was working at ambulance service, and then I started working part-time at Eureka Springs, and then they needed a lot of shifts filled, so I was just working over there quite a bit. So I even wanted to cut fuel cost out of driving to Eureka and all that. And my grandpa had this little motorcycle that he bought. And I took this motorcycle, and I was riding a motorcycle to Eureka Springs. And, Eureka Springs is a big motorcycle town. And big motorcycle, lots of stuff over there, it's a neat place, but it's they got a lot of motorcycles there. Well, when we started scraping people off the street with a scoop shovel on motorcycle wrecks on those curvy roads,
I wondered.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't really like that much anymore. And
I was thinking EMT sees enough motorcycle stuff that they're probably not into that.
Yeah, and so I kept testing, and I went to once you got to test and do these interviews to get good at them, and this physical agility test. I was 140 pounds, and like part of that, you wrap this 5-inch rubber hose around you with these big metal couplings, and it's 100 feet long, and you're dragging more of it out each time when that coupling hits. It wants to. I don't always pass them the physical agility, but it was tough. So I started going to the gym, and I started, you had to put these weight vests on and carry this heavy stuff up and down these towers of stairs, and and.
So every department had another physical agility test. You didn't just take it once.
You just get hammered at.
Here's my score.
You had to go to each town, had their own test, and you keep testing and interviewing, and there's an art to that, to interviewing too, because that's part of your score, And so I went to Rogers and I tested. And the day I tested, most of the time you're testing against 80 people, and it was like I show up for that test, and there's I'm kind of getting discouraged because that test only happens twice a year at each fire department. It isn't like you just test every week till you get hired, right?
Right.
So I've really been working at this hard, and I'm going to, I show up, and there's 120 something people, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So we go through that testing process. I feel good about it. They said, we're hiring 5 people off of this test. And we're going to hire the top 5. Good luck, gentlemen. So I take the test and everything. And, man, I try to interview real good with these people. And I'm like, man, I feel like that's the best one I've done, But 126 people, and they're hiring 5. So I come back and I look at the list. Guess what?
Number 6?
Number 6. And if you don't they hire those 5, see you in the fall. When you show back up in the fall, it's a whole new test, and maybe you end up number 20, or it depends on who you're, right? Number 6. So,
well, I'd say God didn't want you to be a firefighter in Rogers.
Yeah, I'm driving down the road one day, and to feed my calves, I go to this co-op, and I sweep the floor for them and dig out all the feed and busted feed bags out of their mixer and everything. And I would sweep the floor for them there, and they would let me have all the feed I swept up. So I'd go home and feed these calves rabbit food, pig food, whatever it was, And I pull in there to sweep this floor, and get this feed, and I get this call, and it's say, hey, this is so and so from the Rogers Fire Department. We just had an opening. Would you like to work for us?
Nice.
And anyway, I was like, yes. Yeah, absolutely. She goes, okay. Well, she goes, so just kind of tell me, when do you think you can start? And when do you? And I said, I'll be there in 15 minutes. She goes, well, there's a lot of paperwork and we got to do this. And there's some things you got to go through. And I'm sure you need to put in a 2 weeks notice wherever you are. And like I said, no. I said, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And I turned around and she said, well, we still have to do paperwork. And I said, we'll start it in 15 minutes. I turned around and drove up there. And anyway, we done the paperwork and everything. And then I got my uniform and it was, I don't know. And I started like, when you want to start? And I said, today, But anyway, it wasn't that day, but it was soon after that. And I started that. And and one thing about the fire service, and anybody that would hear this, that would know anything about it, they understand all the testing process. Everything you do in it's a test, promotions and everything. But your first year, especially at this, I'm at Station 1, which is the biggest station with the most people. I mean, that's where they put the rookies. And I was so fortunate enough, and they're really good guys, but I was so fortunate enough to be there with a group of people that their whole goal every shift was to see if they could get you to quit. And they got a lot of them. I mean, it was tough. You were the rookie. I mean, and back then there was no crime, no bullying, no unfair like you hear today. It was like, if you go to the fire chief and say, hey, like they just drug me by my ankles down the road behind the fire truck. That fire chief would say, what do you want to do? Quit?
So he's in on it, huh?
I mean, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, it was just, and some of that kind of stuff's important, but anyway, but I mean, it was like, and then when those guys realized, I think that they couldn't break you and that you were going to be a team member with them, like from that, once you make it, you make, you make, and like, there was probably something to that. Now, there was probably some things that were illegal. And also, don't you think I didn't get my revenge?
Right.
On some, I mean, you'll have alarm, like they would go buy alarm clocks. They had them on hand. They've been doing this for years. They put them in the ceiling tiles in your room, and they'll put 6 of them in there and set them from an hour apart. So you'd have one go off in the middle of the night, and by the time you would find it and you would get back to sleep, there was another one that would go off, They would rig up IV tubing they could go in the next room and squirt stuff on your face while they stayed up all night long just to have, they put saran wrap up in your doorway where you couldn't see it and rub Vaseline on it. That way, when you get a call in the middle and you open up and you run out, you hit it, and all that. And so once
that's good for people.
Yeah.
Military school and military does that. And if you get through that, it seems like you get through anything, and ultimately I think that's where strength comes from, is overcoming some of that crap and like, I'll show you.
Yeah. That's the way, a lot of it is in that, and especially in a bigger city. And man, there's times I like hated those guys and I just hung in there. But like, then I started to realize like, hey, like I'm going to get up early before they get up. And I'm going to make the coffee, and I'm going to put the dishes away out of the dishwasher, because that's something you do every morning. I'm going to go out and start making sure the trucks are clean before they get up. And they would get up in the mornings, and I'd have all that stuff done. And they begin to like me.
Of course. Yeah.
And they begin to see me as maybe a teammate and somebody that, and so then, boy, the day that we got a new rookie and some of the heat would come off me, woo! Because the last one, one of them quit.
Right.
He couldn't take it anymore.
It was just you, huh?
So now they hire, yeah. And so anyway, and I think that was pretty important on them. I think they really liked us the whole time. It just, but after that, like there was some fiberglass insulation in the ceiling, and this is after you're a rookie for a year. When your first year's up, then you're considered when you pass all your final tests and stuff. So after that was up, the first thing I did, and I'd planned this forever, I got some fiberglass insulation out of the ceiling, out of one of those ceiling tiles. I found it while I was looking for those alarm clocks. I took it, and one of the guys that was so hard on me, he was out on a call that morning before we got off shift, and I took that, and his jeans were in his room, and I rubbed that all in down the legs of his jeans and the crotch of his jeans and the butt of his jeans.
Oh.
And anyway, I got report that he stopped on the side of the road on his way home and had his He was in his underwear on the side of the road trying to figure out what was going on. I actually don't think I ever told him about that until probably 10 years later.
Did you stay with the department that long?
So I did. I went on to be a paramedic. Same thing there. You got to test to get in paramedic school. I was fortunate enough to test and get in. They take 16 guys. It's one of the top paramedic schools you can get into, and it's right there in Bentonville. And they take 16 guys is all they take. The pass rate on average is 10.
Wow.
So I done that, and once I got into paramedic school, I was getting married that year as well. We had to go to this meeting, and they say you need to bring your significant others, your family, whoever, to bring them to this meeting before paramedic school. This little Italian guy gets up there. He was the head of the department, and nobody there was a lot of people that didn't like him that had went through paramedic school, and they all would warn you, about Dr. G. That's what we call it, is what his name was. We got up there, and he didn't have a problem with telling you how it was. And he sat right there and told our wives or girlfriends, whoever it was, he said, you need to understand, don't have a kid, don't get married, don't we're going to take your spouse until paramedic school is over. It's a tough thing, and it's fast paced, and it's extremely hard, and it's a lot of hours and outside of the class. And it's it's tough. This paramedic school in particular, and their pass rate was very high on the national registry level, but it was low on how many people stuck around. Right. Anyway, so I remember telling Denise, I was like, whoa, they said not to get married. and it took me long enough to ask that question for her to marry me in the first place, lucky she stuck around. And so one of my buddies, his wife was pregnant. And he was like,
oh, no.
Yeah, but anyway, it was a tough road. We learned a lot. I learned, too, a very valuable lesson. I learned to understand why a lot of people didn't like Dr. G, and it was because Dr. G actually cared what he produced, and he was very hard on them, but he did not give a multiple-choice test. It was fill in the blank or essay. You knew it or you didn't. You wasn't BSing your way through it. And multiple choice, you could get lucky, he said.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And he said, there will be one time during our wedding, we were planning our wedding, and it was in the middle of all this. And in that school, anytime you drop below an 80%, you're gone. So anyway, I had a test, and I was getting married, and we were planning this wedding and everything, and I didn't spend much time on this chapter, and it just wasn't an important chapter. It was like safety around the ambulance, radios, something. It was just common sense, and it wasn't anything that had to do with patient care, really. So I was like, yeah, that won't be a problem. I take the test, score 79.
Oh, no.
Oddly enough, they can find some stuff in that chapter that maybe isn't such common sense. Maybe you don't need to know it, but so I get to reading that where they dinged me at. I missed some stuff, obviously, to get to the 79, but there was one question, and I was like, I don't think that's...
Oh, like a question that they got wrong.
There was one essay question on there that I wrote out, and so I brought it back to his attention, because you score a 79 on a test, you have one chance to retake it. You score below 80% on your average in the class, you're gone at any point in time.
Okay.
You don't, they kick you out. I said, you scored me a 79, but I said, I feel like this is right. And he looks at it and he goes, not exactly. And I said, but I feel like there's a gray area here, and you'll have to retake the test. It's a 79, he said. I said, well, I don't think it should be. I was kind of ready to protest this. I don't think you're treating me fair. And I already didn't like him a whole lot because I felt like he was always picking on, this guy was like, oh my gosh, and, very perfectionist, so I was like, you know what? I'll retake your test. If I don't if I get dinged on, something happens there, like man, we're gonna have this got to be taken care of. I retake the test and everything, and I turn it into him, and I said, I'm gonna stand right here and watch you grade it. Like, he goes, oh, I want you to. And he goes down through there, and he's like, and I don't remember what it was, but I passed it pretty big. He goes like, yep, that's what I thought, and he handed it back to me. And I was like, okay, so we're good, like that. And I was like, man. And while we're in there by ourselves, stuff, I said, man. I said, I kind of felt like that was an unfair thing, but oh well, at least I got to take it twice. I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. And anyway, he said, yeah, to be honest with you, like, probably could have passed you on that other one. He goes, but it would have been like an 81%. And I said, which is
Pass.
Well, anyway, he goes, yeah, but he said, that's not what you've been doing on everything else. He goes, I felt like you didn't put any time into that. So I'd have done it on purpose.
Right.
And anyway, so I kind of walked out there a little bit mad, so the next test was the biggest section in paramedic school is respiratory. This is one of the biggest things. And I was kind of scared, like, hey, this guy's out for me. Man, I'm telling you, I put all the time, it scored at the top of the class in that section, but that's what it took, because I did slack on the other deal, and he knew what he was doing the whole time. Before we got out of paramedic school, when we graduated and walked across that stage, I shook that guy's hand and I said, and he told me, he said, these are people's lives at stake. He goes, you're going to know it. He goes, here's what I'm going to tell you. When you go, we ran to the county too, out of the city. And he goes, when you run out to that county and you get the big one and you don't have any other paramedics with you or anybody else to lean on, it's all up to you. He said, it doesn't need to be multiple choice.
Right.
He said, I made you to know it.
Yep.
And he said, I would never, ever let anybody ever graduate this program if I did not want them coming to my house to pick my family up.
Well, that's a good place to be.
And so I respected that guy and he's a wonderful, I learned so much from him,
Yeah.
So it was a good experience. And I went on to there to start teaching paramedic students. So I taught paramedic students and rode the ambulance with them a lot at the fire department. And so that was kind
Now,
of.
you're not doing that now, right?
I'm not. So this cattle thing kept growing, and this passion and desire for this. And I took a promotion at the fire department, and it really didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. And I was getting burned out, and I had my kids coming up, and I was gone, a lot. And I decided that it was at one of the worst times the cattle market crashed in 2016. I lost a bunch of money.
And quit your job at the same time?
And quit my job at this. It was definitely a leap of faith, because I left the fire department in 2017, and it was odd. So we spent time praying about this, and stuff. And I had a job offer. A guy wanted me to come run his cell barn and auctioneer it. But I just couldn't let go of the benefits I had at the fire department.
Right.
I had a family.
The benefits trap a lot of people in a job.
I had a guaranteed paycheck.
Yep.
I felt like I had to take care of my family, and it just wasn't, and we were in a wreck in the cattle industry. That job was the only thing that saved me, and I didn't do it. And it ended up being okay anyway.
Sure.
But when I decided to make that leap, man, I had been selling at Fort Smith Stockyards. I'd been auctioneering down there. And they offered me a job down there, full-time auctioneering job down there, actually while I was on my way home from my last shift at the fire department. They called me and said, hey,
Wow.
we're getting some cattle. We got it. So, yeah, I went from there to now I've got this world championship auctioneer thing on my mind,
Yes.
too. And so, yeah, so they want me to sell down there every week.
And is that benefits and
No,
salary?
that's just a job. Yeah, they go down there and you get paid by the day, and so that worked out good. I was to do their cow sale. and stuff because I was buying calves.
And so this is only 10 years ago, and you're also thinking about chasing your world championship.
Yeah, so I go back and I think, wow, if I could ever, like, now I would be eligible because in order to go to the World Livestock Auctioneer, in order to try to qualify for it, you have to be a livestock auctioneer at a facility. You have to have a
You have
job.
to have a job.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't just go and say, and not be employed somewhere.
So you can't just really get good at auction cars, for instance, and then go for that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So anyway, so I was kind of excited about that. I'll be eligible to go try to do that now, even though that's a long shot, what I mean? So yeah, I do that and I start picking up, buying some cattle. I was very fortunate to make friends with, a really good guy, and he was an old crotchety guy that not just anybody could get along with. And I happened to kind of make friends with him at the sale barn, and he owned several big ranches in Oklahoma and stuff. And so he kind of gave me my first cattle buy-in deal for him, and then got me in with another order buying firm out of Oklahoma City, and I started buying cattle for them. And so yeah, I was just kind of living the dream there, like left the fire department thing in the dust, and I just had this burning desire to be in the cattle business and around the auctions and all that. And so I was I had bought another place and to where we live now, our farm where we live now, and it got to expand my cattle operation. And so, and then the auctioneering, I just, I believe actually it was, Tennessee. I think I entered one of the qualifiers.
Okay. So since I've never been to, I've watched the World Championships at Calgary, which you only get to see just a small piece of it. What is a auction contest like? How does that work?
So the way this works is there's qualifiers across the United States. You're allowed to go to 2 of them in 1 year. And so you enter it if you're a livestock auctioneer and you have a job in a facility, and they'll take from those contests.
No, but what do you send in video of you auctioneering, or do you go?
No,
to the
you go
contest?
to a qualifier event.
All right,
Yeah.
and then you sell cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's at a sale barn.
And there's live cattle come through the ring.
Yep.
But no one's really buying. There's judges out there.
No, they're buying. It's a real sale.
Oh, it is a sale.
Oh yeah, it's
and
a
then
live
the judges
transaction.
just watch how you do.
Yes, they at the qualifiers. So it'll be a normal sale. You're selling real cattle, real buyers. It's all just like any other day. It's a live transaction, but there'll be 5 buyers scattered out in the crowd, and they'll be judging you. They have a list of everything they have to score you on. So when you enter that contest, you'll go to wherever that contest is. They move them around and go to different places, and there's 3 of them across the United States each year. And from those 3, they'll take the top 10 auctioneers from each one to make the top 30. And then they'll take the Calgary champion, gets a shoe-in
Okay.
to come to the World Livestock Auction. So there'll be 31. Sometimes the Calgary champion will be, no, there'll be 31 auctioneers at the World Championship. So if you win Calgary, you don't have to qualify. You got a shoe in. So that's how they get the 31. So they're still taking a top 10 from each qualifier. And when you go there, it'll be a big event. They'll have a big barbecue the night before. You'll walk through and do all of what you're going to do, how it's going to go. And then the night you'll draw positions. So you get to come down there and they'll have a draw at the big barbecue dinner. And you'll draw for your position of when you're going to sell. And then there'll be somewhere on the premises where they lock you all away on sale day. You'll never get to see the crowd or anything. The first time you get to see the crowd and anything that's going on will be when you get behind the mic.
Okay.
That way everybody gets a fair shake. They don't get to see where the buyers are. You have no idea. And if you could imagine, there's a lot of extra people there. It's a packed house. There's cameras all in it. It's a little different experience than showing up on your normal sell day somewhere and just selling. So here I am, a pretty green auctioneer. I've been selling consistently now for a year or whatever, and I'm going to enter this contest. And so we drive to Dixon, Tennessee for this contest, and I get there, and I'm kind of in awe because, part of that room, I'm with some of the best auctioneers in the world that I watch every year on TV, and now I'm in the same room with them. Right. And I don't feel like I'm anywhere close to their level. I feel like I'm so far out of whack, but I really just love being there right now. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. We're actually doing this. And I have a good time. They have a big, like I said, the big barbecue. It's a big event when they have one of these. So anyway, I don't remember where I drew at, but I see all these guys now getting up that have done it before. They're pacing. They're warming their voice up. They're doing all this stuff, and time's getting a little closer, and I'm kind of like,
do you have a ritual too?
I have a new one now. I'll tell you about in a minute. But so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, when I go out there, I said, okay, here's what I got to do. I got to get up behind that microphone. This is my sale barn. I own it. I'm owning the sale. I'm going to bow my chest out. And, I've never known to be a real arrogant type person but I'm bowing my chest out and I'm taking that microphone and, I'm making this my show. That's how you have to go about it.
Of course.
So it gets getting a little bit closer to time, and it's kind of like if you've ever, whenever you rode your first bull or something, when they start loading them, it's a little different story, And they come up and they call me down, and I got to wait in this little office behind the mic. I'm next up on the mic, and I hear the speakers just pounding from that auctioneer in front of me selling, and I just get a glimpse of how many people are in this place, standing room only. And I'm like, that's right. You get that microphone and you own this place, man. They open the door, and I got to step up onto this block, and I get the microphone, and I went from I'm going to win this thing to just don't screw up. That's it. My goal now is not to win. It's just not to screw up. And I sell 10 drafts of cattle. You sell 10 drafts of cattle. You got to give this little opening speech, or you don't have to. It's a good thing to do. I can't remember my speech.
Like a speech that says, I'm Dustin Smith from Arkansas? Or?
Yeah, and you give this little deal, you got, thank you, whatever you want to do. I can't remember the speech. I'm tongue-tied.
Oh, my.
And I get through it. It's not very good. It's not what I planned on doing. And then I start selling cattle, and my heart rate's up. When your heart rate's up, your breathing's different. My breathing's not normal. You got to have breathing to keep a good rhythm. There is nothing about this that's the same.
You're about to pass out.
And I have backed in a roping box in Oklahoma City at the USDRC finals to rope for $40,000 and wasn't even half as nervous as what I am right now. So I sell the cattle. I don't make any mistakes. There's lots of things I could have done better. But I really wasn't starting to get comfortable until about the 10th draft. And that was my last one, right? I stepped down off of there and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what just happened. I just know I could breathe a little better. That's all I knew, Woo! Well, at the end, they line everybody up. And guess what? They call off the top 10. And so guess what? I wasn't in it. So we come back, and I was like, well, that was an experience. So now I'm like, okay, I'm really getting on this now, right? It's really sparked me to.
And now you know what you're up against.
And now I know what I'm up against. And so the next year, Shipshewana, Indiana. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do this. All right. I'm going to get the mic. I'm going to own this place. I go up there and I've made a couple of friends, right? And then I still get to see some of the best auctioneers in the world, and just so same deal, man. That guy up there that runs that sale barn is incredible. He's got it. He owns half the town, I think, up there, but it's an incredible place. He put on a heck of a show.
but we're selling fat cattle. I've never sold auctioned off fat cattle, because that's what primarily it is up there. So when you're selling fat cattle, there's not really a whole lot of difference in what keeps coming through there. There's a lot of fat Holsteins or it's Angus, one of the two. And he's like, hey, the sale's going to be pretty fast. You can talk about them if you want to, but he said there ain't much to say. They're packers buying the cattle. He goes, so we move our sale on at a pretty good pace. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of used to that, selling down Arkansas, kind of moving them through there. And again, you don't get to see the crowd. You don't get to see nothing. I get up behind the mic and I'm like, give my little speech. And I'm like, okay. And we get ready to go. And when he said fast pace, I mean, you got up there and you started selling. It was like he put his foot on my head and shoved me underwater. And I didn't get to come up for air until this was over. He was setting in the price of the next set of cattle while I was still selling out and trying to, on the buyer of that bottom, right? And you don't want to be turning around all the time being like, how much? Because they set the cattle in for you and you sell them, Wow, was it fast. It was over in I sold 10 drafts of cattle. It was like 3 minutes, It was like, wow. And I was like, I don't even think I got a chance to do what I meant to do. So at the end of it, right, they line everybody up and they give awards to so-and-so, to the auction market, and they want to talk about it. And this is the toughest one we've ever had. They always say that, and everything. So then they get to calling off the top 10 and, well, I'm not in it.
Oh, man.
And we drive back from Indiana in a snowstorm and our windshield wipers quit working. And my wife, bless her heart, she's behind me in everything and every adventure that I've had to do. And I've drug her around and she always encourages me and which, I'll get to another deal here in a second about that. But, so then the next year they have one. I was like, oh, they have one in, Oklahoma. Wow. We finally get where we don't have to drive 10 hours to one. Right. So I go there, I'm a little bit more comfortable, and I get behind the mic and I sell and I say, hey, I don't think I've done it. I don't think I've done it. The competition's pretty steep, but I think I've done the best job I've done so far. And anyway, they start calling off the top 10 again, and they they don't call them in order. They just call off the top 10. Then they say who won first, second, and third, right? And so they get to calling it off and they're like, they're on number 8, because I'm counting them, right?
Right.
Like that's the first one, second one. Okay. They get to number 9. Now they're fixing to call off number 9. And it's not 9th place.
It's just 9th person.
It's just the 9th whatever guy, the hell and let. And so anyway, they get to number 9. I'm like, there's only 2 left. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I know that guy's good. So anyway, they call number 9. They get to that 9th guy and I'm counting it off and then they say, Dustin Smith. And I didn't even get out of my chair because I didn't expect it, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh, that's me. Yeah, I'm here. So I get up and almost trip going down the stairs to go stand in front of the ring, and I get my certificate. So now, I'm headed to the world championship. It's in California, which was an excellent trip. It was incredible. I get out there, and it's even a different deal because now you got to do interviews, in front of a bunch of people on questions that you don't even get to know what they are ahead of time, right? So you're just stepping up there blind.
But all cattle related.
It's cattle related industry stuff.
Right.
Questions that are very easy, I think, for me to answer. It's just you don't have time to sit and think about it, and you got a bunch of people looking at you, and it's on national television.
Nice.
So it was really cool. You get treated like royalty. You get hauled around in this big fancy bus. You get put on this big stage the night before of this ginormous barbecue. And David Macedo owns the market out there, and he is class A. He put on a excellent show. It was incredible. And we get to ride on this big fancy bus, and we get off, and all these camera crews are always around you, and then you get up to sell, and it's on TV, so there's these ginormous bright lights shining on you, and it really changes the game. And I went again, I'm like, just don't screw it up. And so from that point on, I've made it 4 times, including the last one that I went to was Oklahoma City National Stockyards, which was the biggest one they ever had.
And have you won the world yet?
I've not won the world.
What's your top finish?
Man, I think 12th or something.
That's amazing.
I'm pretty consistent at staying in the middle of the pack. Yeah.
Well, top 12 in the world is not middle of the pack.
Well, yeah,
Maybe the middle of that
yeah,
pack.
yeah. I mean, but like, I'm telling you, like it's for one, it's a judged event, so maybe it's your day, maybe it's not, right? And no matter what, but at the same time, there's not one guy there that shouldn't win it. You know,
Right.
so like it's just it's just crazy. I mean, there's guys that are so talented, even though I've been on the same stage with them. I still know that they have some incredible
The top end of
things
the top end of the horseshoeing world is like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine. The same way. Like, there's a difference between good and great, and I can tell you, there's some of those guys that are so. And I've seen some of the young guys too before that, like I could tell, like, hey, that guy is gonna go fast. He's gonna, he comes. He's a little scared. He's a little nervous, just like I was. Didn't do so great, but I bet you if he comes back next year, look out. And that's and then you see it, and unfortunately, there's so many things you can do to prepare, but like you can't prepare for just that moment of being in there on that stage, and like with nerves plays a big role in it, and so
The mental game.
yeah, and so I said after Oklahoma City, I've got my kids are busy, we've got this beef bit, we got so many things, like I don't think I'm going to compete for a while unless it's convenient or something. So I just kind of set out since that. And then I got an invite here recently. They're doing a new competition, and it's an invitational thing. And then it's like auctioneer battles.
Oh, nice. Like head to head
battles. Yeah. And so,
you gonna do it?
yeah, I wasn't going to do it. They got a hold of me and said, here's what we're doing. There's an invitational thing. You got until this day to figure out, like, if you want to come or not. But we need to know because, like, we're putting all this together. And I'm talking to them about it on the phone. I said, hey, I'm not really competing. That's not really something, like, top of my agenda there. And they're like, well, we'd really like for you to be in it. And I'm like, yeah, well, I do appreciate the invite and stuff, and appreciate you thinking of me. And I just, and it's like, so it's going to work like this. It's and then the finals are going to be at the Golden Nugget in Vegas, and it'll be a video auction. And I said, man, it sounds incredible. Like, I just have so much going. And like, at this point in time in my life, it's just not like, and it pays $100,000 to win it. And I'm like, how much? I said, like, 100,000. I said, okay, write me down, And so anyway, I said, well, yeah. Anyway, I got talking to Denise about it, and she's like, man, you should go do it. Like, you should go do it. And I'm like, I hate to spend our money doing that when we go on a family vacation or something. I don't want it to be about me. And she's like, no, she goes, you got to go do it. Like, you got to go do it. And so she's always, and so, okay, so I'm going to do it. And I do have a bone to pick with them though, because they made these different qualifier things. These at the entry level of this contest is going to go on for over a year. Okay. It's going to be a long process. This whole thing, this competition will go, a long time. So anyway, I guess they're having one up here in Missouri at Osceola or something. But they drew me Tennessee.
Oh, man.
But it's fine. And anyway, so, yeah, that's something we have coming up with that. So I've got to get back to the grindstone and sharpening the competition part of this thing back up and stuff like that. And am I going to make it to Vegas and win the 100,000? I don't know. But, there has been some one-hit wonders out there. You never know. That might be me.
You never know. You never know. You have shared a lot of really cool stories. Is there anything we haven't talked about you want to talk about?
Man, I think I would like to talk a little bit about our steak company, just touch just a little bit more on that. And so it's called Ozark Natural Steak. It's like we talked earlier, it's an American Wagyu, more of a gourmet type beef.
And you're working with some top chefs.
We are. So it's kind of crazy how fast this went. And It got born into maybe we'll just do some retail sales online, and to now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 like farm market stores and grocery store in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that's carrying it, and it's kind of crazy. We're in some of the most premier restaurants in Bentonville and Rogers, and that's a thing too. Even after we decided we were gonna do this and sell meat, I never dreamed we would get there, and how all that was kind of born, and some of it's kind of funny stories on how I got that done. But like, so now this, I'm just an old cattle guy and stuff. Old sale barn guy is now dealing with some actually world renowned chefs, and we have other cool things coming up that are what I feel like is really big. And so some of the restaurants we're in that serve our steak it's more of a novelty thing. It's not maybe even on the menu. It's specials, because we can't supply them all the time, even
Right.
with our stuff. But like the Oak Steakhouse in Rogers, Arkansas, Preacher's Son in Bentonville, Wren in Bentonville, Tom's another one named Conifer in Bentonville, and so these are very, very, very talented chefs that have worked all over the world.
So like
And-
Michelin stars.
And yeah, I mean, absolutely that quality, for sure. And we're very fortunate to be able to create partnerships with them, and we have another one that serves our burger on their number one selling burger at Tuscan Trotter in Bentonville, and they have one in Rogers too. And when we started doing that, like that
How
was
did
kind of
you-
the start of it.
How did you get those connections?
So I went and just bulldozed through the brush. I mean, it was like I said, if I'm going to do this, I've never done anything, started a business where we've started at the top. You always start at the bottom and work your way up. And I'm like, man, like I want to start at the top. Like I'm tired of being at the bottom and working your way up. That's a lot of work. Like I want to start at the top. Well, it's all a lot of work. So we knew that in the business, ground beef's a problem for small people.
Right.
I mean, because there's just so much of it, and you got to get through it to get to the other
Everybody
stuff
wants
everybody
steak.
wants. And so I made a deal with a restaurant that kind of prided themselves on using a lot of local type ingredients, and it was a local founded restaurant. I got in there and talked to them about their burger, and I mean, some of the stuff I've done and the way that I've done it, like, I mean, you'd have to call me crazy. We probably we don't have time to go through it all, but now I have, I've worked at it, but we've got in there and they decided they would start using our burger. Well, it was around for their Valentine's Day. It was like, like 3 weeks before like Valentine's Day. The manager of that company called me and said, "Hey, we're going to create a Valentine's Day dinner. It's going to be just a flat rate reservation deal or something. What about your steak?" And I said, "Yeah." So they're going to do it at 2 locations. And I said, "Kind of, what are you thinking?" Like, so I'm thinking like, wow, what an opportunity, but I know I could never do this. We're not we're not ready to do this yet. We've just started. He says, "Yeah, we're looking at probably like 180 ribeyes."
Oh my!
I can't do it. Like I can't do it.
All right. So how many ribeyes do you get from one cow?
About 24.
From one carcass?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I need 180. And
So-
it needs to be local. Like it needs to be mine, right? Like
Right.
there's no way. There's no way. So there's just no way I can do this. But I didn't say that. I said, "What about giving them an option for a New York strip or a ribeye? Like, you think that would work too?" And he's like, yeah. And I said, "Okay. Yeah, as long as we can split it between ribeye and New York strip, we can do that." "Okay, sounds great." I hang up the phone. I call my wife. "Hey, So they just called and they want, I got 180 steaks sold to a restaurant for their specialized, advertised, reservation only Valentine's Day dinner. She goes, oh man, I wish we could do that. And I said, yeah. She goes, what'd you tell them? And I said, sure, we'll do it. She goes, can we do that?
So you're just gonna bump up the feed?
She said, can we do that? And I said, we're going to have to figure out how to do it. I said, I don't know, but we're going to. And anyway, so we done it.
How did you do it?
Man, I took that many. I mean, I had that cattle that were close to finished, you know. I had enough to get it done. We just didn't have a way to do anything with all that ground beef, with all the stuff and the storage. How are we going to store all that and everything? And so I got it all done. Will I do that again? Probably.
Well, it had to be a good paycheck.
Well, yeah, but it was quite not a catastrophe. We got it, man. When I delivered the last set of steaks to that I went, we done it, you know. And but I know a lot more now about how to, you know, do that. And it was just a matter of, man, I was taking steaks to chefs, showing up places like, yeah, it was, and like I knew I didn't have a chance. It was a small chance, but there was a chance, right? And man, it turned into like, now it's like I'm dealing with these guys. They can't get enough of our steak. And there's been some things I go back and I look at, and I hope we go back and look on this. Like, can you believe that's what we were doing when we done it that way? Can I believe when I started my cattle business, were we using bent up panels to load semis that we didn't even know if it'd hold up and they would get on the semi, you know? And I go all the way back to looking at the crazy things we done and how we done it. And that's how you learn. And then I go and I look at all the things that we failed at, but like, there's no way that you can disassociate failure and success. It comes together. Like,
right.
There's just no way. And I go back and I think just, you know, funny things, like even back to auctioneering and some of the things I'd done, like some guy had some bulls from Colorado and he wanted me to sell these bulls, and I'd never done a purebred anything. And you betcha I'll do it, you know? And I'll never forget, he said, the first bull that comes in here is going to bring $10,000. And he said, you settle him to some fictitious number, but it's going to bring 10,000 and we're going to set the pace of the sale. I said, okay. So he comes in there and I start selling this bull, and I got to pretend like I've got these bidders, you know, and I've never done something like that before then. And so we're going to sell this bull for $10,000, and I get up to like $97.50, and I have to act like I'm actually working buyers, you know. I get up to $97.50. And that was way back when cattle weren't worth what they are today. Today, that wouldn't be nothing.
Right.
And this guy walks in the hallway eating a cheeseburger. And I see him looking at this bull. And like, after you sell enough, like, you can start figuring out when people's got something on their mind. And I'm asking like $97.50 for this bull, and we're going to 10,000, right? He just looks up there and he bids on him, $97.50. So I take his bid, and I kind of look around there, and I thought, okay, like, this is really high, you know? And my judgment tells me that, like, the guy sitting beside me who owns the bulls and that's talking about them doesn't know that I actually have a real bid at $97.50, because most of these bulls are going to bring 4,000, you know?
Right.
And anyway, I get to rolling around there, and I'm like, I don't know how to stop, you know? And so I was like, okay, well, I roll around there, so the only thing I think of is I stop, and I kind of turn around there, and I said, I got $97.50 live money. What do you want me to do? And then I turn back around on that microphone, you know. That's the only thing I knew to do. And there was a table. We're sitting at a table. This guy puts his hand on my leg, and he starts, sell him, you know, and I get to thinking about, you know, some of the you know, we would do that differently today. You know, I was just so inexperienced, and there's still always experience to gain in everything you do, you know. And I just go back and I start thinking about some of those crazy things we've done, even me and my wife in the cattle business, and the way we've done things, and what, like, you know, rode in a tractor 15 miles just to brush hog a place. I mean, just all that stuff, you know, and you see the growth and then the things you fell at but I have learned it never be said best, and I'm going to say this wrong, but you know, good judgment comes from experience. And the only way you can get experience is by poor judgment.
Yep. Yeah, no, I know it's a fact.
You know, so yeah, and I've taken all these things through the years, I think, that I've collected on going broke a few times, whether it was a market or whether it was, you know, just poor decisions, and plus all the hard grinding things that every time we get down, we've come back and found a way, you know. And when I started this beef thing, there's a difference between, I was 40 when I started that. I was 20 when I started a cattle bit, or, you know, and like big difference over the time, and you get to learn. And I don't think I'd have it any different because I went broke twice.
I've been broke twice too.
And nobody knew it, you know, and I don't think I'd have it any other way because like, you gain a lot of experience from that, and you realize mistake, and you'll still make mistakes on everything you do, but
and it also makes you really appreciate when you're not broke.
It really does. And so then I go back and I also remember too that sometimes it really isn't just our plan that we have planned out for our lives either.
True.
Right? There's a greater plan for all of us, and sometimes we're allowed to make our own decisions, and sometimes we got to stop and listen. But there's a greater plan that you didn't even realize that I ever thought. That
well, when you look back, you can see the hand of God, or at least I can, in so many things that happened to me that coincidence doesn't explain.
Yeah,
you know, it had to be a God thing for all of those things to, like meeting Kelly. There were so many things that had to happen for me to meet my wife.
Yeah,
you know, it's on and on and on. But
it's all these happenstance things that you can go back and look like even just I landed a deal buying cattle for a feed yard that was the best deal out there, and it took an unfortunate incident for me to ever meet the guy, for that to ever happen, for us to ever get together, you know, and be able to make that happen. And sometimes unfortunate, like a crisis is a terrible thing to waste.
It can be, yeah.
You know, it really is. And so that's where, I also believe, you know, in life that, you know, sometimes we get really focused on actually money and success and all that. But something I learned in the cattle business and in the construction business, that losses avoided would have been a success in itself.
Sure. Yes.
You know, just a loss avoided.
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely a success.
You know, so, I mean, if you go to land your airplane on this runway and things get really hairy and something goes wrong and your plane flips around backwards and lands on that thing and comes to a skidding stop, I'm going to say when you get out of that plane, you couldn't have a bad day after that, right? Like you would, I mean, it wouldn't matter. Like you would just be fortunate.
If it turned around backwards, landed, it would be yes, that would be a miracle.
Yeah. So I think the rest of the day, I think you would say, even if you lost $200 and broke a wheel off the back that cost $1,000, I think you'd say it's a win. You know. So,
well, getting back to your steaks, if a person listening to this wants a Ozark Natural Steak, can they get just one steak from you?
Yeah, they could. So if you go to ozarknaturalsteak.com, you'll find a lot of information. You can buy steak on there. We do some shipping. And then you'll be able to see on there even like restaurants that participate with us, and some of the markets even where you can go buy it there. So yeah, there's definitely a way to get it. You can find contact information on there too, even directly to me if you have questions about it, because we have a lot of cool cuts you may have never heard of.
Right.
We get pretty creative with it, and but it's a very, very high quality, very, very clean beef, no hormones, no anything. Cattle are on feed and grass at the same time.
Is it grass that is sprayed with insecticide or pesticide or herbicide?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
So you're chemical free.
And we are not 100%. That was so yet. on that. There could be some pastures that get rotated around too that that have some, but we are working towards that.
Right.
But where the last 280 to 300 days of that animal's life before it's harvested, it will not be the grass it's on or anything like that. We keep that.
Yeah. So Jacqueline and Cameron, they got their beef business, and they didn't go certified organic because that's just such a whole other game. But they got all non-GMO, and they haven't sprayed anything. All told, we have 500 or 600 acres that they run cattle on, and they haven't sprayed any pastures with anything for all those years. No antibiotics, no hormones or anything, and that adds such a different, harder element to the job.
Oh yeah,
it is. It's a superior product, and it costs a lot more, but it takes a lot more work.
Yeah, and you have to sell it so expensive that your customer base gets narrowed down so fast.
Yep.
And we don't have a problem doing that as long as we can be sustainable financially doing it. But I will say that, our grains come from Southeast Kansas, and anything, I got 4 simple ingredients in the feed, and none of it is weird, crazy, anything, nothing added to it that's, primarily corn and alfalfa is, makes up the biggest part of it.
Yep.
And then our native grass that they're on there at home. We have 2 farms, one where they're born in the edge of Arkansas, and then we finish them on our place there just in the edge of Oklahoma or on the Arkansas line. And so it is, we would love for everything to be certified organic. We're looking towards that direction. It'll be a while, but on top of that, though, it is for sure way cleaner than
what you're going to get in the store or the normal store.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the commercial beef business. I've fed thousands and thousands of cattle out there, but when it's down to my choice, because there's, I'm going to choose ours, and we're going to do, we're going to eat our beef. So I'm not saying it's unsafe. Everything's unsafe out there. It's just, like everybody eats their own. Some people don't. There's got to be a commercial businesses out there and proteins, and there's a big market for people who don't focus much on that, and that's their thing. It doesn't matter to me. I just know if I have the choice that we're gonna do our hormone antibiotic free, as clean as we can get it.
Yep. That's what Jacqueline did that to feed her kids, and then they turned it into a business that, and they were selling farmers markets and cuts and stuff like that, but they decided to just go. You can buy a quarter, a half, or a full, and so it took out a lot of the. It took out some of the profit, because obviously you can sell one steak for a lot more than you can the steak's value on buying a half of beef. But they don't have to set up at a market. They don't have to haul trailers. They don't have to.
And you don't have to deal with all the ground beef,
right?
Because that person's getting it all.
They're getting their part of it.
Yeah. Retail and individual cuts opens up a whole new door. That's very, very it's very difficult. It's very challenging. We have learned.
You need a taco or a burger restaurant to go with it.
And the problem with them is they restaurants like that. They buy their beef so cheap.
Yep. I'm talking. You need to own a taco or a burger restaurant.
Yeah, and then opening up your own restaurant's that's another big, right? You just, but you for sure got to find outlets for that ground beef, and it's a push-pull thing, storage, demand, all that kind of stuff. It's, there's things you can't even think of that we never thought of that we've been faced with, and there'll be more.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
For 100% sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, we have gone almost 2 hours. That's pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, we're halfway through.
If this was Rogan, yeah. But man, you are a gifted storyteller, and I really, really appreciate your time. So
well, thank you for having me on, and I hope people can learn something from just a small piece of my story, and
and yeah, be able to somewhere use it in their life too. You know, you just keep standing, fall forward, don't fall back, you know?
Or if you do, get up.
Yeah, that's right. You fall forward, you see what you're going to hit, you know? That's what Denzel Washington said. Everybody said you always got to have something to fall back on. But he's like, you know, I want to fall forward.
Well, good advice.
So, yep.
Sir,
Thank you, Chris.
I thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah. That was awesome.